Charlie Powell and his comrades fought hard to halt the Union advance from Atlanta to his home state. William T. Sherman's army was not to be stopped. Powell was near Fayetteville when he received a 3-day leave to go home and warn his family and neighbors about the impending invasion of Union forces so they would have ample time to hide food and valuables. These silver spoons, for example, were unearthed many years later on the Lockhart Jones farm. Powell had a good time partying at night, though, with the ladies of his neighborhood and soon rejoined his company in western Johnston County. He remembered his colonel with a canteen full of hot stuff and endured a teasing by the boys for smelling like roses and sweet Betsies. Soon they were on the battlefield at Bentonville. Union Primitive Baptist Church near the Powell plantation was spared vandalism or destruction, reportedly because of its name. However, U.S. soldiers tore down the old Beulah Church near Kenly and used the materials to build a bridge across Little River. The church was rebuilt and in 1915 finally received $300 in reparations. The 50th North Carolina Regiment was called from Tarboro to Savannah to join General Joseph Johnston's Army of Tennessee in November 1864. According to Lieutenant Joseph C. Ellington, they fought hard and witnessed one tragic scene after another in South Carolina before General William Hardee led them to a crossroads near Elevation Methodist Church March 17, 1865. General Hardee was unsure whether Sherman would go to Raleigh or Goldsboro, so he positioned his troops so they could move in either direction. Lieutenant Ellington wrote that the next day they were called to Bentonville and camped at the Sneed Farm.
In the battle, 4 companies of the 50th Regiment, C and D of Johnston, E of Wayne, and H of Harnett, were near their homes. Many of the men who had not seen their homes and families for many months marched by them and tarried for only a few minutes. Then they went into the fight, the guns of which could be distinctly heard by their loved ones, and again, without stopping, marched by these same homes with Johnston's army on its final retreat, proving their faith and loyalty to the lost cause to the last.
Ellington's regiment had 900 men when they left Tarboro. By the end of the Bentonville battle, less than half remained. They had not slept under shelter since November. 13-year-old Mary Harper's home was in the middle of the battleground, but her parents, Amy, who's pictured here, and John Harper, refused to leave. After several hours of fighting, many wounded and dying Federal soldiers were brought there. These men were taken to Goldsboro after the battle, but many wounded Confederates still lay on the battlefield. As an adult, Mary Harper Hatcher recalled how they helped take care of the wounded and the dying.
My father offered his home as a hospital for them, and 54 heroes, some dying and some soon to die, were brought by their enemies to our hearts and hands. My mother and 2 sisters nursed them day and night, dressed their wounds, cooked for and fed them for 8 or 10 days before any nurses came. We sat by and saw them die, loving and comforting them as we would our own. The Federal Army furnished provisions for them, of course, from their supply, and we were saved from starvation. 23 of the 54 died, and we wrapped their blankets about them and laid them in the cold, cold ground.